Are you in control of your calendar, or does it feel like your calendar is in control of you? What if I told you there's just one simple change in how you plan your week could change your life? You see, most people, they start their week with like a to-do list, and there's no structure to their calendar. There's no structure to their schedule. They slip things in where they fit. And we're all busy. We've all been through that, but it doesn't work. By the end of the week, you usually end up feeling more busy than you did at the beginning of the week, and you feel like you got nothing accomplished. So I built a blueprint. This is how I structure my week on a personal level and on a business level. I start my day with 3 anchors. These 3 anchors are identity shaping, repeatable, grounding anchors that are non-negotiable. I do them every single day. So for an example, for me, it's a 5 a.m. wake up. I get up at 5 a.m. every day. I come, I hang out in my office, and I work on a bunch of this stuff actually. From 5 to 7, at 7 o'clock, my son is usually up. My wife and I and my son hang out and we have some breakfast. Another anchor that I have is sweat. I have to sweat throughout the day at some point, that whether that's going to the gym or that's going for a run or something, but it helps break up my day. It's a different anchor. I usually do it in the middle of the day some point. And then I have another anchor, which is dinner with my family at 6 o'clock. These are 3 repeatable. They're identity shaping because these are what are important to me in my life. Whatever works for you, put that in there. But these are non-negotiables. These are things that your day is now going to be built around. You're not going to plug these in where they fit. They're going to stay there, and you're going to plug in other stuff around it. Now, this blueprint, I've built a PDF so that you can follow along. It's in the show notes below, along with focus map, the system reset audit, and a weekly layout structure. The weekly layout structure we actually talk about in a different video. If you haven't seen that, you should check that out. So now that you've got your anchors, you need a focus map, okay? You're gonna pick one focus block for every day. This is gonna set structure around your week. You can have more than one focus block every day, but you should have at least one focus block every day. So that could be, plan content for YouTube. That's what I do on one of those days. That could be, some deep work where you have, some specific client meetings. I don't know. There's a million different things it could be. But inside those days, you need to have a specific focus block 5 days a week, okay? And then on the other 2 days, or at least this is how I do it, on the other 2 days, which is Saturday and Sunday, my focus block switches and it's no longer business related, it's personal related. So on Saturdays, I have 6 hours of family time every Saturday. I don't let my work bleed into that. I used to let my work bleed into that, and I would be scattered all over the place. I would have to leave, a family barbecue, or I've even had times where I had to actually leave a vacation and fly back home because stuff got messed up and I needed to be here. I don't let that stuff happen anymore. My focus block is my focus block. I schedule everything around this block. On either side of those focus blocks, you need to have some margin time. Margin time is like buffer between meetings, or between, it doesn't have to necessarily be between meetings, but it's between whatever it is that you were doing. And that buffer time is to process what it is that you've just been through. And that can be something that's really small amount of time, like 15 minutes, and it could be a really long time. It could be like an hour. It's going to depend on the content of whatever it was that you were just focusing on. Sometimes it can even depend on the person that you just had to focus on with. I certainly have been in lots of those meetings where that was really draining, or that person is tough to be around. We all know that person. So you need to take some buffer time to reset outside of that. On that reset note, we actually offer the Kinetic Plus reset course. It's only $97, and it goes into far more detail into these kind of systems that we've built. This is kind of the Cole's Notes version of a bunch of different little systems that we do. There's also a link below for that. So you've got your focus blocks, you've got all that lined up, 7 days a week. I think we should note that on Sundays, my focus block is actually filling out next week's version of this blueprint so that I can start Monday running, okay? And in that, there's another page for reflection. Okay, so we talk about how the week went. I described the week, pros and cons, how did it go? What am I celebrating? What are the wins? What worked? And then what didn't work? You focus on these 3 things in your focus block on Sunday. And then the last part is what needs to change for next week. And that automatically brings you into having to redo it again Sunday night for Monday morning. You start again. That's it. Anchors, focus blocks, margin time, review. Again, this is the simplified version. For more in-depth work, the Kinetic Plus Reset course, it's only $97. The link is below. Don't forget to download the free starter pack, which has this blueprint in it, along with the anchors. And on top of that, join the newsletter. You want those tips and tricks, and you want those systems to help you move forward, both in your personal life and your business life. That's it. See you in the next one.